guys, how are you doing? So I hope you guys all are safe. So as you know, a lot of us are in quarantine due to the coronavirus, and we probably have a lot of time on our hands. So if you want to kill 2 hours, you can join me by making these red velvet cupcakes with cream cheese frosting. So you will be needing some ingredients for these cupcakes. So if you want to, you can search up red velvet cupcakes on Sally's Baking Addiction website, and so here's what you will need. So you will need 2 large eggs, 1 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour, 1/4 of a cup of cornstarch, half a teaspoon of baking soda, 4 teaspoons of unsweetened cocoa powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 cup of unsalted butter, softened to room temperature, 1 cup of granulated sugar, half a cup of canola or vegetable oil. I'm using this brand Wellston because it has both in it. And then we have 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Then we have half a teaspoon of white vinegar. And then we have some liquid gel or food coloring that is red. If you do not have red like me, I'm just going to be mixing some colors together and try and get a red. And then we have buttermilk. If you do not have buttermilk, then there is a recipe to do it. So it's right here. So you need 1 scant cup of heavy cream, 1 tablespoon of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and you need to mix it for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's very easy. And then you have buttermilk. So let's get started. So the first step you're going to need to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now, make sure there is nothing inside your oven so nothing gets stuck or melted. And then the second step is you need to line your cupcake or muffin pans. So this recipe makes about 14 cupcakes. So I'm going to use a 12 set and just line it with cupcake liners. And then I'm using this extra 6 set, but only filling 2, but filling the rest just in case if we have any leftover batter. Now we are going to split our eggs into whites and yolks. And we are going to be using the yolks. And make sure that you put the yolks in a plastic container so when you mix them, the bowl does not break. So let's do that. Put this in here. And make sure to do this over your bowl that you want your whites in. Like so. Then put this in there. And then we're gonna do the next one. And then as you see, I did not crack it very well, so I can just use my other shell in here. Like so. Okay. So as you see, we have our egg whites here. And so now we are going to mix them using a hand mixer. Now we're gonna mix it for about 2 to 3 minutes. And a good tip to know when you're done is you should be able to turn the bowl upside down and nothing should be able to fall out. So let's do that. So I think it's finished, and how do I check it? Well, I turn it upside down and nothing is falling out. Look at that. So that's how I know I'm finished. Our next step is to mix our dry ingredients. So the first thing you want to do is sift your flour and cornstarch. So you will need 1 1/3 cup of all-purpose flour. So we're gonna measure that there. Mix it like this. And let's see, that's about 1/3, maybe a little bit more. And so now we're going to put it part by part into the sifter. We're going to put it in the sifter, and then we're going to sift it through. This is very important make sure to not forget to do this, because then you will have little balls and random flour and dry ingredients in your cupcake, and that is not very delightful. So we're gonna here, and then now we are gonna do our cornstarch. So we need 1/4 of a cup of cornstarch. So that is 1/4 of a cup of cornstarch. So let's put that on here. Okay, so right in here. Measure it out. That's about 1/4, and we're gonna put it in here. Set this through, and cornstarch, you might find some stuck on your measuring cup, so let's do that. Okay. So now we do not need the sift anymore, and so now they're going to add in the rest of our dry ingredients, but first we're going to whisk together the flour and cornstarch. And so now we are going to put in our baking soda. So we need 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Make sure to check your measurements so you don't put too much or not enough. That's the wrong measurements. Go 1/2 teaspoon. So we have 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Put that in there. And now we are going to do the cocoa powder, which I have right here. And we are going to be needing, I believe it is 4 teaspoons of cocoa powder. So 4 teaspoons. So 4 of these bad boys. 2.
From video chatting with family across the
3.
to listening to music with friends, internet service from Wave is bringing you closer to the things you love.
4.
Okay.
And then we are going to put in our salt, which is our last dry ingredient. And so we need 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. So let's go to 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. There we go. And now we are going to use our whisk and mix it together. And that is it for our dry ingredients. So our next job is to do our wet ingredients. So the first thing you need to do is get your butter and put it in the mixer. And you're going to need to beat it for about 1 minute. So make sure to lock it and then put it. So this looks about done. It's very beaded. And so now we need to scrape down the sides to like so. And so now for the next thing. So make sure to lock that in. Then we're going to add the sugar. And we need 1 cup of sugar. Let's measure that out. A little bit more. Then let's shake it a little bit more. about enough. Okay, so now we are going to add it to our butter. And we can use our spatula to get any excess that did not get off. Put it in there. And now we are going to mix this. Cream it together. So like that. So something should look something like that. Okay, so now we're gonna scrape down the sides. Remember to scrape down the sides after every single mix, so you don't miss anything. Scrape that up. And so now we are going to add the oil and beat it on high for about 2 minutes. So add the oil, which we need half a cup. And you might notice that the butter and sugar looks a little bit piecey. Well, that's okay because we're gonna add the butter and the rest of our wet ingredients. It's gonna make it look good. So we're gonna add that in here. And now, I'm gonna scrape it down a little bit. And now we are going to mix it for about 2 minutes. Make sure it's very fully combined. So that looks about done. So now we are going to scrape down the sides again. And our next step is to add our yolks and vanillas. So you remember how we did our egg whites? Well, remember the yolks, we need the yolks. So we're gonna add in the yolks. Make sure it's all in there. So, and then we are going to add in our vanilla. And so we need 2 teaspoons of this. So 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. Then we're going to put this in and mix it. Up, scrape down the sides. Our next step is to add our vinegar. So we need half a teaspoon of vinegar. So we have half a teaspoon vinegar. Be very careful with this. About a teaspoon. And now we're going to add our food coloring. So add until you reach your desired color. So I'm gonna add some yellow, some orange. Then we're gonna give it a little mix, see what color we get. So that's not the color I would like, so I'm gonna add some more yellow. Okay. Now I'm gonna add some pink. Then let's add some orange. See if I can get it to a red. Ew. I just experimented with it a little bit. It's not really red, it's more of an orange, but it doesn't really matter. Even though it's red velvet, it's not that big of a deal. So, now we need to add in the dry ingredients. So we need to add these in thirds. So add it in and put it in thirds. So we're gonna put some of this, then give it a little mix. Add some more. Then add the last part of it. Okay, so that looks more like cookie dough. So now we're going to add in the buttermilk. So put these in a little bit at a time. Mix it in. Stop. And put the rest in. And so our next step is to take this off and out of here. Take this and use your spatula to try and get all the excess off. There we go. Put this here, and then we are going to take this, our spatula, and our egg whites, and we are going to move over here. And this next part, you have to fold in your egg whites. So that means you take a little bit at a time, and you don't like mix it, you fold it. So you grab it like this, like that. You don't mix it like this. So we're going to do that. Fold it in. Make sure this might be a little bit slower than it was with the mixer, but otherwise it will not be as fluffy and it will not taste good. Then we're gonna add the rest of it. Fold it in. Okay. So that is it all mixed together. This is our second to last step of the cupcake process. So you have your batter and your lined pans. So what you want to do is get an ice cream or cookie dough scooper, scoop it up about that much, and then put it inside. That's how you know you have the right amount. There we go, that is our last one. So as you see, I did not get 14, I got 17. So I'm gonna take out the extra little liner, and then we are going to put them in the oven. And now for the last step, to bake them. So you're going to open your oven and put them in. You can use gloves. I'm going to use a towel. Pop this bad boy in here. Okay. And so now we are going to bake these for 20 to 21 minutes. So our timer just rang, so let's take a look on these cupcakes. So let's check them by using a little toothpick. Clean, 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 clean. Make sure, and if there isn't any batter on them, that means they are good to go. So let's take them out, and let's check on our second one. Okay, you can use the same toothpick. Good, 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 good. Okay. Now we are just going to turn off our oven. And now we're gonna wait for these to cool and start on our frosting. And so now it's time to do part 2, the frosting. So today we are going to be making some cream cheese frosting. And so here is what you're going to need. You are going to need 8 ounces of cream cheese, which I weighed out on a scale. Then you're gonna need half a cup of unsalted butter, which is 1 stick. Then you're gonna need 3 cups of powdered sugar. I'm not gonna use that much because then it's gonna be too sweet and overpower the cream cheese, which is what we're gonna try and focus on. So we're only gonna put about a cup. And then we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and we need 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. So let's get to it. So our first step is to beat the cream cheese, the 8 ounces, and the butter together. So we're gonna put these in here in the mixer. Make sure your butter is room temperature, not melted, because melted will make it all soft and not good. Then we are going to mix it. There we go. So I think it needs a little bit more. Let's call in our tester. Felix, I need you to come and test it. So get a spoon and try it and get a spoon and try it and see if you think it needs any more sugar. Good? Okay. And so, that was our sugar. And so we're done with the powdered sugar because it is good. So now we're going to add our vanilla. So we need 1 teaspoon. Here. Teaspoon. There we go. And salt. We need like 1/8 of that teaspoon. So that means the slightest amount. That was a little bit of a salt delay. So we have this, and then I have 1/4 of a teaspoon. So I'm just gonna do half of this. So you need a little bit of salt. Oh geez, that's way too much. About half of that. And let's give it a mix. Done. And so, concluding, that is our cream cheese frosting. And so now, let's head over to frost our cupcakes. It's frosting time. So how do you get the frosting into the bag onto the cupcakes? So the first thing you need to do is get a measuring cup and a Ziploc bag. You're gonna open the Ziploc bag and put it inside the measuring cup and wrap it around. Kind of like how you would do the trash bag onto the trash can. Like that. And then next thing you do, you're gonna take your frosting and you're gonna put it into the bag. Make sure to scrape off the sides, get everything off. And then we're going to take the bag off and zip it. Make sure it is zipped. Otherwise things will leak out and it'll be a hot mess. So now we're going to push the frosting onto one side. Like so. Try and scrape it. Push it down. And we're really quickly gonna open it and let all the air get out. Make sure that's done and then zip it again. Okay, so we're gonna do an extra check, make sure everything's zipped. Okay, push it down a little bit more. Should be easier because there's no air inside. And then you have this. So now you're going to get a scissor. You can use, if you have frosting tips, you can use those, but I'm not going to use it today. You're going to push down and then you're going to cut it off a little bit. Like that. And now you're going to frost them. So my frosting little tip isn't not big enough, so I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. We're going to put frosting on. This frosting, because it has cream cheese on it, it's a little bit thicker than normal frosting. To frost it, and then we're going to get a little butter knife or just a normal knife, and we're going to smooth it out, make it all smooth. If you notice a little bit of spots that don't have as much icing, like I noticed right here, just add that on, and then smooth it out. So first cupcake done. second batch of frosting, and that still was not enough. So I had 4 leftover cupcakes, and we're just gonna leave them naked, just normal, just in case, because you know sometimes adults don't really like cupcakes with frosting. So yeah, so here we have our cupcakes, and now for the real test. Come on, come and get them.
Come and get 'em. Totally. 1 million out of 1 million.
Okay, so this
So
is my brother, and then this is my second brother, and
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. He's my neighbor, and they like it. So
How do you like it?
Yeah.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
All right. So
this was a success.